All right, Steve, let me just pitch something to you. I had an idea for a movie. I think it's going to be really huge if somebody can pick it up, develop it a little bit more, put some stars in it, put some money behind it.
I'm excited.
You know how these things go. But just want to run this by you, see what you think about it. Are you ready?
Yep, let's go.
Trademark Dead and Lovely, of course.
Of course.
So I'm picturing this movie, and it's set in like the olden times, right? You've got these people that are living in a little cottage out in the middle of the woods. They're just surrounded by the wilderness. There's nothing around them. It's a man and his wife and maybe his 2 kids or whatever.
And the rest.
Exactly. And it's primitive. Yep. Like I said, they're living off the land. They're staying away from the forest. It's kind of like The Witch or something like that, right?
The Witch.
The Witch. And, the father won't allow any singing in the household. He won't allow any kind of dancing. It's a musicless home.
Okay.
But then late at night, the kids are like, "Why won't Papa sing or dance, Mummy?" And the mom is like, "Oh, how your father used to dance. He used to have the most magnificent singing voice in all the land," and stuff like this, right? But then later on in the movie, you find, look out, here's a huge twist. Basically, the village, they've been living in this fake, time period. Like, it's actually the modern days, but they've been raising these kids to think it's olden times, right?
Oh, no.
And they find out the reason is because the father of the family, the reason he wants to keep everybody sheltered from the world and the internet and stuff like this, and sheltered from singing and dancing, is because he was the Numa Numa guy. Numa Numa, the movie.
Oh no! I could just see a scene where his baby is reaching up at him with its hands, like grasping, and he's just having a flashback. Yeah. Maya. Genius. Yes.
Pitch sold. Trademark Dad and Lovely.
Right in the room.
Welcome, Dad and Lovely listeners, to the brand newest installment of the brand greatest horror movie podcast in this dimension and beyond. It's Dad and Lovely, here with the host of the most. It's me, your good buddy, Uncle Ben.
And me, Hollywood Steve.
Woo! And we're here to be talking about Gretel and Hansel, as well as shooting the shit, catching up, talking about what we've been watching and stuff like that. Hey, listen, y'all, if this is your first time listening to the show, we do a lot of catching up because this is just our hangout. If you want to get straight to the movie review, there's a timestamp in the description. Just fucking click on that. We're going to hang out, chill, and chew the fat. How you been this week, Steve?
Relax, all cool.
Oh, like we do.
Well, Black Lives Matter. So there's that.
The world is kind of in chaos right now.
And I think we've probably heard enough from white men about how black people should react to being murdered in the street.
You know what? I don't really know that we have a lot to add to the conversation other than saying that we stand as allies with you guys against police brutality,
I'm with the protesters.
Racism.
Keep it up. Fucking, go at them. Let them know we got to change this. It's got to stop. Nothing has changed. It's just got to end.
Yeah, absolutely so, man. It gave me a glimmer of hope for just one split second right there. There was maybe one day after the events happened with George Floyd when he was just murdered on the streets like an animal, where it seemed like everybody, right and left, black and white, everybody was like, yo, that was fucked up, right? There for a split second.
Seemed like we all
everybody's
agreed.
Unified. Don't forget about that. Don't forget that that's the root of what happened. But yeah, it's fucked up. Like I said, it's one of those things that I don't know what to say, and it's really a better time for us to listen than to talk anyway. You said that earlier, and I think that really sums it up. It's like, as a couple of middle-class white dudes, talking isn't really what we need to do. We need to be listening right now.
Listen to minority voices, empathize, be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously, all of us we need to listen more than we need to talk right now. So.
And if you want to listen to another podcast that probably has a lot better insight than we do about this issue, I'd recommend checking out some podcasts. Like Medium Popcorn is a great movie podcast that's absolutely hilarious. It's hosted by 2 African-American guys. But there's lots of other ones. LeVar Burton Reads. Holy cow, what an amazing podcast. Obviously, LeVar Burton is the host. Culture Kings is a great show. It's Not Me, It's You is a really good one, but it's on hold right now because the host had a baby. Code Switch on NPR. There's plenty of stuff for you guys to check out that's going to offer a lot more insightful perspective than we have. And I would just like to encourage everybody to donate to your local bail funds.
Yep.
Or if you don't really have a local one, donate to one where people need it in some of these cities and stuff like that. Because
some of the bigger cities, they need more bail funds. We need to get these people back out. We need to get them back out and protesting more.
No doubt.
I 100%, if you're protesting, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope we're being safe. There is still a pandemic. So
oh my God, dude.
Wear masks.
No doubt. But just remember, Dead and Lovely stands with you guys. I hope things change. My God, I hope things change.
Yeah, me too.
No doubt, man. But yeah, it's been a crazy week, but I've had a few moments of just some good chill times. I've been able to watch a few things that were fun. Steve, I decided that because this is such an upbeat, fun time to be a human being, you know what would be a great movie to watch?
What's that?
The most fun movie of all time, Requiem for a Dream.
Jesus. What?
I don't know why we did it. I don't know.
You're just torturing yourself, huh?
Yeah, it's like, this will make things better, right? Yeah, watch that one again.
You know what would make things better? Ass to ass.
I mean, ass to ass solves a lot of problems, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Wow, what a movie. Wow.
It's a ride, huh?
It is so fucking intense, man. It is a crazy, dark, wild movie.
I think it's a horror movie. Like, to me,
it's terrifying.
It is a horror movie for sure. Like, it fits all of the criteria for a horror movie. It's
incredible.
And it's disturbing in a way that other movies that are clearly labeled horror, well, there's some that can reach that level, but mostly just cannot reach that level of disturbing.
Oh yeah, and there's like surreal, horrific, strange elements in there too, especially there towards the very end when the old lady's like tripping out and the fridge is gonna eat her.
Isn't that Ellen
like
Burstyn?
Ellen Burstyn, yeah.
Yeah, Ellen Burstyn, she's so good in it. God.
Oh man, just amazing, absolutely amazing, crazy flick. It'd been a long time since I watched that. We did watch Men in Black International this week.
Oh, okay, with Tessa and the Thor.
Hemsworth, the Thor.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I like both of them.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Like, it kind of got shit on, I think, by critics and stuff like that. But, it's like, does it have somebody in it that's as charming as a young Will Smith standing next to Tommy Lee Jones? Not really.
No. How could you?
But if you like,
because you put you put the brightest light bulb you can find next to a sheet of aluminum foil, you've got some shine. That's like, just like, what in the world? Yeah, you can't ever meet Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Right.
But they're both awesome, these two.
Yeah.
So
they're great. Their on-screen chemistry is really good. And ultimately, it's another fun action sci-fi comedy movie. So, yeah, if you like the other ones, give it a shot. It was fun.
Yeah, it's not like the other ones had like some revolutionary element to them. They were just fun.
Yeah. Like, oh man, the depth of the plot was just incredible.
Right.
Come on, it's just like fun sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. I never saw 3. That's the only one that like never even kind of appealed to me. Because International, I remember being like, oh, I like those too. I'll probably watch that.
Yeah.
But 3, I just did. Wait, actually, I think I did see it. Is that the one with Johnny Knoxville?
That's what I'm trying to remember. Yes, it is. And doesn't it also have...
Okay, so I did see it.
Jermaine is in it too, isn't he?
Uh-huh.
I remember thinking it was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's right. Nothing I'm remembering. Way to go, 3.
Yeah. That was a quick about phase where you're like, not even interested.
Actually,
it's pretty good.
3's really good, you know?
Did you watch anything good this week?
Oh, yeah, I watched some good. Emily and I have been watching Rick and Morty Season 4.
Awesome.
Just, catching up on one of the best shows on television. Still awesome.
I still need to watch it because I'm that far behind on everything that's cool.
100% do, but there's so many things you need to watch. Rick and Morty should be high on the list, I would say.
Okay.
But yeah, Rick and Morty, great. What else? Emily's been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel while I'm working because she's got time off now. She can just watch whatever she wants. And
I've heard that's really good.
It's awesome. It's amazing. So funny. I mean, it's Amy Sherman Palladino who did Gilmore Girls and Bunheads for the Palladino heads out there.
Oh.
The Palladines? What do we call
it? Right. Yeah, it sounds right.
What are we called, fans of Amy Sherman Palladino? Asps?
Emperor Palladinas? I don't know.
Anyway, she's awesome. So, yeah. And then Rachel Brosnahan. God damn it. She is so funny and adorable.
Right on, man. Yeah, I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of good about that show. I've not really talked to anybody that disliked it.
Yeah. So that's been fun. And then on Friday night, we saw a little movie called Dead Heat.
Oh, was that on the old Dead and Lovely streaming chat on Discord?
Yeah. Yep. On Discord, we were talking about some Dead Heat. And let me tell you, I don't remember a thing about it except that Joe Piscopo is in it. And it's basically Lethal Weapon, but Joe Piscopo is supposed to be Mel Gibson. But also throw in the weird horror elements where there's like, I couldn't follow what was going on because I didn't care enough to try.
Yeah,
Like,
that can happen.
It's just one of those movies where it starts out and you're like, yeah, I'm not paying attention to this.
Don't care.
But by the end of it felt like I had watched a trilogy of films. Like, so much happened in it. It was ridiculous.
Right on. It was fucking 15 pounds of shit crammed into a 1 pound bag.
Yeah, 1 pound bag, yeah. And then after that, they were showing Cannibal Holocaust, which I don't ever need to see again. So
I've never seen Cannibal
moved on.
Holocaust, and I just can't muster up the interest. It's one of those that I know is like, oh man, it is revolutionary. It's such an important flick, yada yada. But I'm like, I just don't really care to watch like animals getting killed and stuff. Like,
I saw it as a
don't care.
Ute.
Oh, when you were a Ute.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, as a youth, I didn't know all that stuff, and because I had seen Faces of Death as well, and Faces of Death shows stuff like a cow being exsanguinated and stuff like that. Like, I guess to me, it was just like, oh, okay, this is all horror movie stuff. And then I grew up and found out, like, the reality that there was actual animal abuse and animals being hurt and killed. I don't need to see that movie ever again. What
yeah.
for?
Yeah, it's one of those ones, man, that like Cannibal Holocaust seems to be like the G.G. Allen of horror movies. Where, like, people just talk
I don't
about
know.
it because
a
it's
Serbian
shocking.
film is probably the G.G. Allen of
okay.
movies.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate right there.
But yeah, so I'm with you on this.
You know, it's like, yeah, it's shocking and gross and disturbing and stuff, but it's like, yeah, but do you like G.G. Allen's songs? Do you listen to that shit? Do you enjoy it? Like, if I ever meet somebody who's like, my favorite horror film is Cannibal Holocaust, it's just like, come on, man. Really?
No, it is not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's revolutionary in the sense of like giving that idea of like true story.
The marketing
documentary style
insanely
thing.
Smart.
Yeah, that was all smart. But I mean, you know, if you want to watch it, watch it. The abuse has already happened. You're not by watching it now. You're not gonna make a Cannibal Holocaust 2 happen. But just know that it's happening on film in front of you. If you can stomach watching that,
synopses and stuff like that, and I'm like, that's enough for me. That's fine.
Yeah,
like, I know what
that's what
happens
I
in the
say.
movie. I don't need to watch it.
Yeah, I agree.
Right on, man.
There's the only reason to see it is if you're some weird absolute horror film completionist.
Right? Yeah. It's like I'm going through every horror movie alphabetically. I got to watch all of them.
Got to the C's. It was pretty early in there, so just finished Candyman.
Well, yeah, I wish I could have stayed and hung out and checked that one out. I've been at war with my car this week. I had like a coolant leak. Took it in, got this hose repaired and stuff that was behind the water pump to the tune of like, $250 or something. Then the next day, my fucking water pump goes out, so my car is currently getting that replaced. All kinds of fun. The fun never stops.
Dude, if I ever need any sort of surgery related to my male genitalia, as I leave to go get it, I'm going to say, I'm going to go get this hose repaired.
Need the old hose repair, do we?
Yeah. Need to get a hose repaired. Get it patched up.
Yeah. I think that otherwise, though, this week I've mainly just been keeping myself entertained, getting back into writing some original tunes again, which has been awesome. I've not devoted any time to writing. Oh, yeah, dude.
You posted a song you just completed. So
yeah,
I forget what it was called. Concrete?
Concrete.
Is that it?
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
And I've been working on some other original stuff, too. It's just been so long since I've had time to, like, write original music because typically, by right now, like 6 months into the year, usually I've already learned like 150 songs for different gigs.
Right.
And I've not been having to do that. So I've actually had time to like devote to my music, which has been really fucking refreshing. So that's been fun and a good creative use of my time, because I've always found, I've said this many times, whenever the world seems completely fucking out of control and there's nothing you can do about it, it's really wonderful to take control of something like music or art or whatever you can make.
Right.
It's a wonderful, fulfilling feeling that I recommend everybody try out.
Yeah, I agree. It's really, it can be therapeutic. It can also be a major source of stress itself, but at the end you have something.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Like that's always the thing that helps me push through the, I don't want to do this right now, or I'm just not feeling it. Just like, well, when it's done, you can go, I've got that thing, I did that, it's done, it's there. You can improve it or whatever, but at least you got something.
Just the act of completing something. And then, too, like at the end of the day, I'd much rather be worried or stressed about writing a better chorus than you know, dealing with the world burning down.
That is entirely true.
Yeah, it's a better kind of worry, I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, good stuff. Everybody join up with the Discord page and stuff. Join in for the Friday night stream and chat. Hang out with us. We just do like a text-based chat and watch Joe Bob and stuff like that. Always a good time while everybody's shut in on a Friday night. And, of course, too, I'll just go ahead and get this out there, too. If you guys want to help support the show, check out that Patreon page.
Hell yeah, patreon.com/Dead and Lovely. We are about to start doing some mini-sodes soon that will be available to all levels. From 1 to
all
whatever.
Are welcome.
All are
welcome.
So head on over there, become a Patreon patron. If you become a $5 patron, you get to submit a movie for the monthly drawing, and you get to decide what movies we cover. That's really cool. I imagine.
That's a fun
right?
time right there. Yeah. Well, thanks as always for listening. I've been Uncle. Oh wait, sorry.
See you guys.
Broke my rhythm. No, Steve. Of course, the one thing that we both watched this week was a Gretel and Hansel. Which is a crazy, weird movie by old Oz Perkins that's based around a fairy tale. What wasn't written by the Grimms, but it was collectimated by the Grimm Bros. And let me toss this at you, true. Steve. Not just the Grimm brothers, my ancient ancestors, the Grimm brothers.
Are you a Grimm?
I am a descendant of those very Grimms.
Dude,
you can
That's
draw
crazy.
a family tree line. The Grimms married into the Capel family, which is on my mom's side, which married into the Webbers and then the Ellers. So somewhere in there, I got some Grimm blood in my veins. That's pretty cult and black metal. Grimm and Grimm blood.
Well, when you hear a little bit more about your ancestors in a little bit, you're gonna find out how fucking metal as hell they actually were.
Oh shit! You don't say. You got something planned for me here?
Yeah, dude. I got some history on them, but I also wanted to talk about some of the stories they collected. Ben,
no way. Is it story time for Uncle Ben right now?
It's story time for Uncle Ben.
Oh my God! Well, how about this? How about before we get into the deep dive review ski on Gretel and Hansel, how about we just take ourselves just a nice little cozy storytime detour into the old preview palace.
Hey, welcome to the preview palace.
Oh my God, that sounded scary.
That was a snake. A snake just came in, guys. Oh my God.
Wait, I understood it though. Do I speak Parseltongue?
Wait, what did it say?
It said, "Welcome to the preview palace."
Holy shit! You're a Harry Potter, Harry.
You're a Harry wizard. That's what they'd say if they looked at me. You're a hairy wizard. Yes,
You're a hairy wizard. So, Ben, I wanted to tell you some of the most fucked up Grimm's fairy tales just real quick.
Now, I don't know what you're talking about. All these are stories that we heard when we were kids. They're all very normal. Nothing really weird happened in them as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what you could be talking about.
In Cinderella, where the prince comes to see if the shoe fits the stepdaughters, and one of the stepdaughters cuts off her toes to try to make it fit, and another cuts off her heel.
I don't recall that happening in the one that I was told.
Well, Ben, guess what?
I'm sure it's an isolated incident.
Those stories that we've known for a long time are all fucked up, but there are some even more fucked up ones that you've never heard of.
Oh my God, I
And
can't wait to hear about
I
it.
want to start with one that actually was so fucked up that it was only in one edition of the Grimm Brothers, the first edition.
Because even back then, they were like, yo, this needs some editing.
This is fucked up, bro. And I also think it needs to be the title of a song. So if you're out there playing for any sort of metal band,
Hey, I'm writing songs right now. Maybe this is one for me.
how about this, Ben? How Some Children Play at Slaughter.
Holy shit. Now that
Yeah.
sounds dope.
So, the original idea of Grimm's Fairy Tales is they were organizing these stories, but they were academic. So, if there were different versions of the story, they would be included. So this actually had two versions.
Yeah, because
In one version,
again, that's a misconception. They didn't write these stories. These were oral folk tales that they just
Yeah.
collected.
yeah, they were just collecting stories that they were hearing, mostly from family members at first, but eventually, by the 7th edition, they had like 200 something stories they had all gathered. But
They were basically just the Carlos Mencia of the day, just collecting jokes and retelling them, right?
Yep, that was them. So this story actually has two versions. In one version, two brothers see their dad butchering a hog, and the older brother and younger brother decide to play butcher, and the older brother butchers the younger brother, like kills him and butchers him. In the second version, a bunch of boys are playing and decide to play butcher and pick the youngest kid and butcher him.
What kind of
That's the
morality tale is that?
That's the thing, is that in the beginning, as I said, they're academics. It wasn't about morality. It wasn't about like defining like what the story was about. It was about, this is a story we've been told.
Holy
Here it is.
moly.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one, though, that like I think needs to be explored. And I don't know, I didn't search into the academic history of this, but it needs to be explored because the idea of children murdering children obviously is coming from somewhere. So this is definitely coming from true stories of children murdering children, which is a really rare occurrence, though it does occur, and we've had it happen in the more recent centuries. So I would like to know where that comes from. That's
Wow.
very interesting.
When's the Disney version come out?
Yeah, when do we get our Disney version of How Some Children Play at Slaughter? Okay. There are others, though, Ben, that are just very dreamlike, I would say, where it sounds like he was asking people for, or like the Grimm brothers were asking people for stories, and somebody was like, here's a dream I had the other night. What happens in The Ungrateful Son, Ben?
The Ungrateful Son.
The
That's a Pauly
Ungrateful
Shore
Son.
movie, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Doesn't he sing "Thank God I'm a Country Boy" in that?
Yeah, I think that's the one,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Shout out to RDM. He's probably digging on
Oh,
that
yeah, that's
reference.
true. Yeah, absolutely.
Ungrateful Son. Basically, the story is son sits down to a roasted chicken, like you do.
Oh, like you
I
do.
get it.
Chicken dinner.
He's gonna have chicken dinner. Wife must not be home.
Exactly.
So he sees his elderly father coming to the door, but he doesn't want to share his meal, so he hides it.
Hiding that chicken. Okay.
Yeah, his father comes in, and once his father leaves, he goes to get his chicken. But guess what, Ben? It turned into a frog.
That happens sometimes. If you're not
And
watching
then
your
guess
chicken dinner
what?
close, it can turn froggy on you.
Right? And then guess what? It latches onto his face forever.
What?
Yep. Like a
What?
goddamn fucking alien.
So what you're telling me is there's evidence of like just rampant hallucinogen use in old Germanic times.
Yes, that is
Freaking balls.
absolutely the case. Yeah, for sure.
Wow, that makes
But
so much sense.
Let me just back that up with The Strange Feast, Ben.
Oh, this sounds
the-
nice. The Strange Feast. Okay.
In The Strange Feast, a blood sausage invites a liverwurst over for dinner.
Okay. I've
right?
heard this joke. Hang on. A blood sausage
Right.
and a liverwurst
So a
walk
blood
into a bar.
sausage invites a liverwurst over for dinner. When the liverwurst walks in the blood sausage house, he sees all sorts of objects moving that shouldn't move. He gets freaked out And then he runs away and sees that the blood sausage has a long, sharpened knife in its hand.
What?
The end.
That's the end?
Yeah.
That's a real cliffhanger right there. What the fuck does that mean?
Boy,
That
I
makes
don't know.
less than 0 cents.
Less than 0. Less than 0 cents, Ben. But guess what? It's fucked up.
Yeah. That's how hard up people were for entertainment back then, where they're just like, is this a story? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like seriously, that is the type of story that it's like you need to get your kids to go to bed and you're like, I don't know, God, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
A blood sausage invited a liverwurst over for dinner.
I'm just
I
starving,
guess.
man. Go to bed.
Yeah. He really wanted to eat the other one. Go to sleep.
What the fuck ever. Go to sleep. You gotta work in the morning, kid.
Yeah. So another one involving a sentient sausage is the mouse, the bird, and the sausage.
Okay.
Now, the mouse, the bird, and the sausage has a very clear moral to it. But so a mouse, bird, and a sausage living happy, obviously, like they would.
Like you would, of course.
They have their 3 roles. The mouse delivers water and makes the fire and lays the table.
Mm-hmm.
The bird brings wood home for the fire.
Very
And
sensible.
the sausage cooks. Of course. Of course the food cooked. So anyway, one day the bird's out gathering firewood like you do, and some other birds are like, man, they make you work like a slave, right? So the next day the bird's like, hey guys, like, maybe you're making me work like a slave. We should switch roles. I'm not going to go in the forest. And so the mouse and the sausage are like, all right, sure, whatever. So now the bird's going to do the mouse's job. The mouse is going to cook, and the sausage is going to go into the forest to collect wood. Guess what, Ben?
Uh-oh.
When the sausage gets into the forest, it gets eaten by a dog.
Oh, Lord of
When-
mercy.
And the dog explains, Ben, the dog explains to the bird that he ate the sausage because the sausage was carrying a lot of forged letters with him.
What? Forged letters? That's a
Yep.
plot twist. I didn't see that coming.
Nope, who would? The bird... The bird agrees he should have died for carrying these forged letters and goes home and tells the mouse. But when he gets home to tell the mouse has been trying to cook, and apparently the sausage would roll himself around in the pot to mix the food. So the mouse is like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to get in the pot. And so it burns to death. And
What
then
the fuck?
the bird
This is not
comes
cute or adorable.
Not at all. The bird comes home from the forest and it's panics. Obviously, it's like, oh fuck, no. So it starts throwing wood everywhere, and
What?
the wood catches on fire. But hold on, don't worry. The bird's not gonna burn to death. It goes to put out the fire, so it goes to a well, flies down in the well to get the water, and then can't get back out and drown.
What a great story. That's just a wonderful fairy tale right there, isn't it?
The bird and the sausage. Tell that one to your kids and see the look on their face.
Coming soon from DreamWorks. Is it possible that the Brothers Grimm collected all these old, oral fairy folk tales and stuff from just like bums on the street that were drinking Scope? Did they have that back then? Because these all sound like things that I hear like bums mumbling about.
The Grimm brothers were the OG Dolomite. Yeah. They were just taking stories they heard from drunks on the street and telling them in an entertaining way.
You know what, though? Maybe that's what we start doing is like we become the new Grimm brothers where we're like, we're just going to
Yeah.
write down stories that like crazy street people tell. And then in a few hundred years, people will be like, oh, these were the fairy tales of the 2020s. These make no fucking sense.
Not a lick of sense. All right, Ben. I'm going to finish with this one. The 3 snake leaves.
The 3 snake leaves, like leaves from a tree?
Yep. Snake leaves. You
Snake
heard me.
leaves, dude, that sounds like a pretty sick like stoner or doom metal band.
Yeah.
Snake leaves?
Snake leaves.
Like it's just feedback for 20 minutes and then the song starts and that's like
Yeah.
40 minutes, I think.
Man, and people are just grooving on it.
Snake leaves. I like it. I'm into it.
So this princess announces that she's not going to get married to anyone that won't marry her or that won't be buried alive with her when she dies. Great
I can't
start
imagine
already.
why she can't get a man.
A great start already, right? So
Live,
this young
laugh, buried alive.
buried alive. So a young man from a poor family is like, well, fuck, what have I got to lose? Like, my family's poor. Like, she'll probably die first. It's a gamble, but at least we'll have some money. So he meets the princess. They fall in love, obviously. And he agrees that, like, yeah, if you die before me, I will get buried alive with you. And so after a while, she gets sick and she dies. So he follows through on his word. He's hanging out down in the coffin with just a dead body.
All right.
And while in there, a snake shows up and he's like, hey, bro, snaking and whatnot. And the young man is like, fuck, a snake. So he cuts it up and he cuts it into like 3 pieces. And then another snake, it's like, hey, where's my bro at? Oh shit, a dead snake. So he heals him with 3 leaves.
What the fuck?
And then they both leave.
And
so
they leave.
the
Okay.
right, and so the man is like, oh fuck, those leaves, all right? Those must like bring you back to life. So he puts them on his wife, and she comes back from the dead. Fucking awesome, right?
Sick.
Except now she doesn't love him.
This is Pet Cemetery. You tell me the story of Pet Cemetery now.
Yeah. Now she doesn't love him, and she sends him out to sea, and tries to have him thrown overboard.
What in the fuck does this mean?
Hold on. His servant rescues him. And so they go back and they tell her dad what's going on. And her dad, the king, is like, oh, fuck no. So he takes the princess and her new boyfriend and puts them on a sinking ship and sends them out to sea. The end.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I love it. Actually, I think that's probably the best one so far. I want to see this. I want to cast, let's see, who would I cast as the princess? I'm going to put Anna Kendrick in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. For sure.
I think the poor guy that gets buried alive with her, I'm pretty sure this is going to be either Chris Pratt or Seth Rogen. It's going to be Seth Rogen. He's going to be
Seth Rogen. He's going to be down there in the coffin like, oh man, right? What? I can't do his laugh.
Yeah, he's got that laugh. Yeah. The Rogen laugh. None of these make a goddamn lick of sense.
No.
But here's the thing, is like, I wonder what these stories started out as, because with all these old fairy tales, they're all oral tradition. So it's the telephone game, man. These things get passed around and passed around and passed around, and who knows what is left of the original story.
Yeah, which is why I think that today's film, Gretel and Hansel, is actually a really good adaptation of Hansel and Gretel, because it is up to date. It's changed. Because the stories that the Grimm brothers were writing down were meant to be mutable. They were meant to transform and change over time to fit whatever is going on. Like, the entire idea of folk tales, fairy tales, these sort of things is to teach the person hearing the story the right way to be. Like,
and that can evolve as time goes on. It's kind of like a recording of a jazz song. It's like, that's not how it's always played. It was just how it was played this one time. So whenever the Grimm brothers collected these, they kind of, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they kind of stopped the evolution of these things and made them sort of set in stone, right?
Yeah, they were aware of that. These guys were academics. Let me tell you something about the Brothers Grimm.
My people,
these
peeps.
Motherfuckers came up. They were born into moderate wealth. Their dad worked for the local government in Hanau, which is about 15 miles outside of Frankfurt, Germany. This was the 1780s. their dad died, and that left the Grimm brothers would definitely be in Dead Dad, because their dad died, which left 11-year-old Jakob in charge.
Wow.
With no income, literally nothing, because he worked in government. Their house wasn't their own, and they weren't producing any sort of crops. So without any sort of savings or anything, they were just completely broke. Luckily, their aunt had arranged for them to go to a school, and they're about a year apart, Jakob and Wilhelm. Jakob being the older. He went to the school, and then Wilhelm followed, and they, while there, were of course treated poorly because they were poor.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get to participate in most of the stuff because they didn't have money.
Mm-hmm.
But Jakob graduated top of his class, and then the next year Wilhelm graduated top of his class. Still poor, still broke as a joke. They got into a university where, again, they were treated poorly. All of the stipends that the university offered went to the rich students, not the poor students. So they, again, worked their asses off and became academics. Started, writing actual academic texts about medieval German literature, and really just getting into how stories come to be and how actually malleable folk tales are, and how they can be used to make a point in a particular time. So the first edition of Grimm's Fairy Tales is much more academic in a lot of ways and has a lot fewer tales, but it really is more about like presenting the things. But as it gets crafted over about 7 editions, it becomes more about establishing a German national identity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that couldn't be used for nefarious purposes at all, could it?
Well, it eventually was. Hitler did use, like he expected every good German to have a copy of Grimm's Fairy Tales in their home.
It was like their mythology, I guess. Yeah.
Right, but that is not the fault of the Grimm brothers.
Yeah.
When they are trying to establish a national identity, what they're saying is Germany should exist. They're trying to bring together all these disparate elements to say we are one nation. Mm-hmm. This is, there's a time of French occupation that they go through, and really it becomes this intellectual protest, basically.
Wow.
These are academics who are using fairy tales as a protest against the occupation of the French in their land. So the development then of it as like this ideal German identity, it isn't how it started out, but it definitely had like a positive association before Hitler.
Wow.
Since Hitler, it's very negative. But Hitler was, of course, taking on innocent things and making them evil.
Yeah, the swastika, so forth.
Which is what evil people tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe just hold up a Bible outside of a church. Like, yeah, you see it? It's a fucking Bible. Anyway.
That's smooth.
Not getting too far in the weeds on that.
Make of that what you will.
Maybe. So, the first, this is interesting. Their first manuscript of it actually only contained like 53 stories. That manuscript was sent to a publisher who misplaced it, and it was missing until 1910.
Whoa! Holy moly!
Yeah, when it was discovered, it became this huge deal because researching the Grimm's Fairy Tales is very important in understanding like folk tales and fairy tales, things like that, but also like German literature. So it's been sort of an important textbook for a long time.
I like to think that they like uncovered it and it was just like under the seat in his horse-drawn carriage. He's like, I misplaced it under my seat.
I was reading it and then just put it under the seat. And it was in that place, where you reached and you can't reach, but then you reach the other end and you can't reach again, and you're like, I guess there's nothing there.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
So anyway, eventually though, by 1857, they had 210 different tales in there. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a super important book beyond just stories you tell to your kids, but it also serves as that. Like most of the versions of Grimm's fairy tales that we've seen are sanitized versions that are aimed at children.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie does something very genius. I believe this movie is aimed at teenagers, though it plays well for adults. It is, I believe, meant to be aimed at teenagers, but it doesn't sanitize the story.
Yeah,
It's
it
still
very much
real
keeps
dirty.
in the tradition of those original tales and stuff. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because that was one thing that I really took from it too. Is like they don't really shy away from the weirdness and the darkness of those original fairy tales. Which, if you've not like read them, they get really fucking weird. Like even like you said earlier, Cinderella and stuff like that, and even the original Hansel and Gretel tale. Shit gets really fucking weird, and I do like how this movie kept a lot of that darkness and weirdness intact, while, like you said, making it a malleable premise for the audience today.
Yeah, and it worked, and we'll get into like the ways that it works today. But I think to start, we probably have to talk about this is our man Oz Perkins.
Now, hang on, Steven. I think you got the order of operations here all wrong. I think to
Wait,
start,
did I forget about something else?
we gotta have ourselves a co-beer.
Co-beer code.
Co-beer code. We got ourselves a very special co-beer here that we're gonna get into before we start talking about old Oz Perkins, because this co-beer right here came all the way from Tianjin, China, in the hands of my sister-in-law, old Jessie.
Yeah. Now this is pre-pandemic, and
Yes.
also don't worry, they have been sitting long enough that if there were anything on them, it's dead.
Yeah. And this is from the Wee Brewery in Tianjin. She said that there weren't like a ton of breweries over there, and this is one of the only ones that she could find that did a pale ale or like an IPA or something like that. So she got us 2 4-packs here. One of them is an IPA. This is their American Pale Ale.
Yeah.
And I look forward to trying this thing out. Now, this is cool. I wish the viewers could see this. Well, I guess they will if you check the Instagram. It's got an old school pop top on here, like a tab that you rip, like a 70s beer.
It's a little more like rigid than those were. Those were, I remember, I
never pulled one of those.
I was going to say, I don't know that I ever did. I remember clearly they used to have juice in little cans that had like almost a sticker top. That you pulled off.
I remember that totally.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did have those probably didn't exist by the time I was born. So yeah, this it's interesting. So it looks like an American Pale Ale.
It does, and it says on the can here, description, inspired by Wee Brewery's location, it's simple, but just too good to pass up. This hoppy, crispy beer is suitable for all seasons and any occasion. I guess that includes recording a podcast with Hollywood Steve.
Hell yeah.
It says it right there on the can.
It does. I didn't even notice that. There was a little bit of dust I had to wipe away, but it did say it right there.
It smells a lot like a Dogfish Head to me. It smells like a 60-minute or something like that.
It does. It smells hoppy, but not like.
It smells kind of malty to me too.
Yeah, not like over hoppy. I'm gonna get a sip of this.
That's pretty damn good. I'll tell you what. That has like an interesting, I'll say almost raisiny flavor to it.
Yeah, I would say crisp is right.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, sweet. There's a sweetness to it.
But it's not like too overly bitter. It's not super dry, but it's also
it's
like
a little hoppy,
sweet.
but not too hoppy.
That's actually pretty fucking agreeable. I would love to have that with a burg or a dog.
A burg or a dog.
Yeah.
What if you got a dog on a burg?
Oh, no, that's just all wrong. You can't do that.
That's too much.
Keep them separate. That's pretty fucking good. I like that actually a lot.
Yeah, that's very drinkable. For sure. And it's only 5.2%.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Right on. Well, thanks so much, Jesse, for bringing these all the way from
Jesse's the
China.
best. Jesse's the bestie. Boom. What's up? So, Oz Perkins.
This ain't the first movie of his we've talked about. We talked about the old Black Coat's daughter before.
We did. We talked about the Black Coat's daughter. Also, he has the movie I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House on Netflix that I've recommended in the past.
Yeah, you
I'll
told me that
recommend
was
again.
good.
It's great. Yeah, I enjoy it. He's got a movie coming out whenever.
Yeah, when is anything coming out these
yeah,
days?
everything is not planned anymore. But he's got a movie coming out called A Head Full of Ghosts, which is kind of I haven't seen any synopsis of the movie he's making, but the novel it's based on is like it combines like exorcism and reality TV in some way. So yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Wow.
But since we've already talked about Oz Perkins, I figured I'd mention that I think I mentioned on the Black Coat Solder episode, he was an actor throughout the 90s because he is the son of Anthony Perkins, director, or Psycho from the Psycho from Psycho. Fucking
the Psycho from
damn
Psycho.
it.
Norman Bates.
The Psycho from Psycho. Norman Bates. God damn it. Anyway, yeah, he was in a bunch of stuff. He played, of course, uninterested guy in Not Another Teen Movie. You'll remember.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. This is the first time that he is doing something that does not have his name on the screenplay. Now, he helped write it some, but in the end, Rob Hayes got full credit for it. So this is mostly Rob Hayes, who is a TV writer who used to work on Chewing Gum before it was canceled.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Chewing Gum.
No.
You should check out Chewing Gum. It's about a girl who comes from an overly religious family trying to get out into the world.
That sounds pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, and watching, I mean, man, it's great. It's a really funny show. So he used to write for them.
So this is the first time, though, that Oz Perkins is being a team player and directing somebody else's movie.
And I think I know what's going on here a little bit. Maybe this is a full guess on what's going on. Now this is produced by Robert Downey Jr.'s production company.
Tony Stark
himself, yeah.
Wow.
And I think in some ways this might be just like almost a sort of test film for Oz Perkins, where it was like, well, we got a pretty good script, but you know it could easily go corny, it could easily be bad. So we need somebody who makes it look good. Oz Perkins comes in. He's got the experience to show that he can make his vision come to fruition, but can he make someone else's vision come to fruition? Now he's worked on the screenplay, but this is Rob Hayes is the only one credited on the screenplay. So he's doing this, portraying someone else's vision, which I think is a good test to show a director is really that good. If they've only been making stuff that they wrote, like, can they work with someone else? Can they work with someone else's vision and make it their own? And
it's
I
like
think,
playing a cover song versus an original.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, whatever problems this film may have, none of them are visual.
No, absolutely not. No, I
This
think
is a
that
gorgeous film.
I would understand if somebody watched this movie and was just like, this is not for me. There's a lot of bad reviews on it of people just like really, really, really hating it. And
yeah, I can see that.
I can understand, but I don't see anybody watching this movie and being like, I hated it because it was ugly. It's a fucking gorgeous movie. Like it never stops either. Like there's some movies that
every single shot is just
dude.
painting. Yeah.
There's some movies that are like very front loaded with a lot of like beautiful imagery at the first of the movie, and then by the end it's just kind of like just normal everyday stuff. This movie stays gorgeous from start to finish.
Yeah, it does. And it's just so well done that, like, I mean, no matter what, even if the movie hadn't made money, which it did, it made a good bit of money because it's a $5 million budget. It made $21.3 million.
That's insane.
Because it's one of the few movies that'll come out this year. Maybe it'll win awards.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
Think it could beat Sonic? I don't know.
That's crazy. $5 million to make this movie. I don't even know how you do that.
I don't either. But if it was a test to see if Oz Perkins could be successful, he fucking passed with flying colors.
Yeah.
And I think that, in the future, I'd love to see him, still continue to do his own stuff because his own stuff is awesome. But in the future, if you hear Oz Perkins' name attached to something, it's just going to be like, oh, good, cool. Like that might be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to watch anything that he does from here on out because, I mean, I loved Black Ghost Daughter. I think
Yeah,
Black Ghost
it's
Daughter
so
is one of
good.
the coolest horror movies of the past,
Yeah.
I'm going to say 20 years.
Yep.
Like probably in my top 10, top 15 ever.
Yeah,
I
it's up
really
there.
like that movie a lot.
Me too.
So just that alone got me hooked on that guy. But then just, again, seeing that, like this movie, I'm not head over heels for, but I will just watch it for the visuals entirely because it's
Yeah, I see
absolutely
that.
stunning, So
Yeah.
I'll watch anything else this guy puts out.
Yeah, and honestly, before doing research, I think I said to you in text, this is like The Witch Light.
Uh-huh.
Like they have the same sort of message to them of like, escaping the patriarchal norms
Sure.
and getting to feel free, getting to be yourself, getting to feel attached, connected to other women. It's got all those things in a package that you could show to a 15-year-old and like they could identify with it.
Yeah,
and
where
also
the
be
witch
like,
is
that
like,
movie was scary. Yeah.
whereas
where
the witch is like a little, a little heavy.
Yeah, it's a little over their heads too, probably. Yeah,
Probably.
But this movie's like The Witch Light in some ways. But once you get into a lot of like the symbolism and things that are going on in here, I think it's a pretty deep movie in its own right. And though, it does still have a similar message to The Witch. I think it says some other things and has a more hopeful ending. I mean, I think The Witch's ending is hopeful. I believe I said that in the Witch
I think
episode.
so, yeah.
But it is it's one that if somebody said I don't think it's hopeful, like I could get their argument. Whereas this, I think, is completely hopeful in the end.
Yeah.
Like it really seems like even though they're going to be separated, the Hansel and Gretel, like they're going to be happier because of it.
I think so. That's kind of the message that I got out of it too. And I'll tell you, like I watched it for the first time last week. I mentioned that on last week's episode. And I thought it was like okay. I liked it more the second time because the first time that I watched it, I just wasn't really sure what I was getting into. In my head and from the preview, I thought that it was just a very trippy take on a European Germanic fairy tale.
Right.
And then you start watching this movie, and the tone and some of the dialogue and even some of the costumes and soundtrack are a lot more modern at times. And I think like the first time that I watched it, it was kind of a turnoff where I was like, well, that's not what they would say or do back in whenever the hell this is supposed to take place.
But then you come to that conclusion. Wait, when is this supposed to take place?
Yeah, it never says when, where, I mean, anything. Like, it's never really set in stone at all. It was just kind of my expectation of this being Germanic Hansel and Gretel kind of tempered my expectations. So it's one of those that, like, I could understand a lot of people getting turned off by this the first time watch just because it's not really what you're expecting. And I'll say that that's kind of like good and bad. There's elements of this world that they portray in this movie that I feel like could have been left in the oven for another 5 minutes to develop some more.
Okay.
And then there's other elements in there where I'm like, oh, wow, that's actually a really cool sort of take on an alternate telling of this story. What was your experience like the first time that you watched it? Were you immediately like into it, or were you like me where you're like, I don't know, that was kind of okay?
I was into it, but I agree with a lot of your assessment. Like, it was not what I expected, and because of my expectations being completely subverted throughout, it was I kept expecting it to be a little bit different. And so the second watch through really did work better for me, because the second watch through I was like, okay, I know what this is. Pay more attention to it.
Yeah.
And paying attention to it, you're like, oh, yeah, okay, right. This is all beautiful and wonderful and perfect, and I like the way that they did it. I like that you can't tell when and where it is, because if it's the fairy tale genre,
right,
to have this indecipherable like land and time, nobody speaks with the same accent, which you could say like, well, it's just bad acting. I think it's supposed to be that way. It seems like
that's
they were like, no,
I was curious about.
Just do your normal accent. The feel is meant to be like, I mean, this is a fairy tale that's being told because, like, as I said, the Grimm brothers were telling a fairy tale to Germans about being German. This is a fairy tale being told to the world, being projected in front of the entire world. So this is about being the world.
Yeah.
So it's like accent shouldn't matter,
but
place
it's still
shouldn't
pretty,
matter.
Pretty subtle. You know, it's like
It
it's
is
not
very subtle,
really
yeah.
super mega overt in that way.
No.
It's the kind of thing where
Yeah,
like,
nobody's like doing a southern accent and then somebody's like, "Oh Lord, I can't believe there's a southerner here in the woods."
Oi, that house is made of gingerbread, innit?
Making a pizza house.
Yeah, let's just do all of our accents right now. But you know, it's like it's kind of, you could call it subtle, you could call it underdeveloped.
Right. You could.
But also too, the thing is that we'll never really know because this is an hour and a half long movie.
Right.
And I just assume that there's probably a lot of other world building, world expanding stuff that probably got cut. I mean, maybe this was originally a 2-hour long movie and it got hacked down.
I think that's a possibility. I think there's a second possibility that I really hope is true. And I saw some people saying this, that it seems at the end they're trying to set up a sequel.
Okay. I'm on board.
I hope they're trying to set up a Grimm's fairy tale universe. And I would love it if the sequel were a movie about the hunter or a movie about grown-up Hansel or whatever.
I'd be very okay with that. That could be really cool.
I'm interested. Show me more of the world. It's so interesting. And like if we could come back eventually to this now good witch who's taken over the bad witch's position, and like, can we come back to these things? Can it be an Avengers type of thing where
no doubt.
Eventually they all come together to fight Baba Yaga or something?
Oh, dude, see, now we're talking. See, like, I would be way on board with that. The same way that, like, they really shit the bed with sort of the, you know, the reboot of the Universal Monsters that they were trying to do. They could actually do
which
this
they had been trying to
successfully.
reboot so long.
Oh,
Like they've
long.
been trying since the 90s, I think, because they did Jack
Mummy
Nicholson's
and
The
stuff.
Wolf and they've been trying forever to get back to that cash cow. Yeah.
But then the thing is like, this could be that sort of thing, only with tales that haven't been beaten to death.
Right. I would love that.
I'd
And
be okay
it's
with
Robert Downey Jr.'s production company. You can't imagine that he's not thinking it at least a little bit, right?
It seems
Like,
that way.
I was Iron Man. What if I had my own? What if I was the producer getting paid? Because a lot of those producers are making a whole lot more than those actors. And those movies make a lot of money.
No doubt.
So if he could set that up, I'm sure he'd be happy to do it.
Right. Well, because that's the thing is like, this movie does drop some things on us and then never really gets back to him. So even like the character of the huntsman, which again, this is one of those things that makes you feel like, okay, this is a thing that is out of place, out of time, because I don't think there were really a lot of like free English speaking black folk walking around Germany during this time period.
I don't think that would be common, no.
But we have like even like common peasants and stuff like that are Africans.
No. Yeah,
And again, the huntsman is a black guy and stuff too. So it's like, this is kind of out of time and out of place, and that character is interesting, and he like slays this, I don't know, ghoul guy.
Yeah.
That never comes back. They never like explain that or anything at all. But it seems like that's like a tale to be told in another movie.
For a movie that has what I would say is a anti-organized religion message, he quotes the Bible and is a good guy.
Oh, yeah, he does quote the Bible.
Yeah.
So this is taking place in a reality where that story has been told, I guess.
Yeah, and where, as we gather from her not wanting to go to the convent and things like that, where there are terrible religious assholes, and there are some that are good.
Yeah.
So it's a real complicated universe that has so much more going on without any of that being said.
Right. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's interesting that they're so subtle with a lot of those things when the narration beats you over the head, especially at the end.
A little overt. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit overt.
I would nix most of the narration. It's unnecessary.
With you. I don't think it's really needed. It's like we can kind of gather what the fuck these characters are going through and what's going on in their heads without them literally talking over the movie as narration.
Right. And I think that maybe was, notes afterwards where maybe they showed it to audiences and they just didn't connect with it. and they were like, maybe if she says exactly what she's thinking at that moment. Yeah, I don't know, but it doesn't work. Yeah, the narration is just too much.
That impression that they didn't trust the IQ of the audience, and they're like, we need to spell this out for him. You know,
again, could be them really trying to make the fairy tale genre work as a film, because a fairy tale is not trying to hide its message usually.
Right. True.
Yeah, which again, why I think it's sort of aimed at teens. I mean, it's a PG-13 movie. That has a table full of chopped up kid parts on it. So, like, I mean, people, it seems like they probably had to fight a little bit to get the PG-13, which is not normally what you would do with a horror movie. You would want it to be R. You'd want people to think like, oh, it's all fucked up. So it seems like they were really aiming at teenagers, and yeah, like they maybe didn't expect the audience they wanted to get the message to actually get it. But as adults, they should maybe have the adult version. Just cut out most of the narration. Like, because some of it is necessary, but most of it
most of it's not to me at all. Yeah, and there's just kind of like I said, there's just weird things throughout the movie that I wish they would have explained a little bit more, just developed some more. Like I said, early in the movie, they encounter that, like, ghoul guy, like zombie man that just sort of screams, and then the huntsman kills him. Right. Then there's no more speak of that, where it's like, that was a dead man come back to life. It's just like, that was something weird that happens sometimes. Like, you care to explain any of that or come back to it? Like, they could have even had something later on in the movie where they're chilling at the witch's house, and like a gang of these ghoul men, you know, approach the cabin, and the witch has to destroy them or something like that. Like, seems like they could have come back to that. Or maybe there's other, like, supernatural magical creatures that live in the forest and shit, but it's just like, nope, there's this one ghoul guy. That's it. Bye.
Once there was a ghoul guy.
Yeah.
And a huntsman shot him with an arrow, and there was a crab there for some reason. The end.
What?
I did it. I wrote a Grimm's fairy tale.
Yeah. It's odd, man. Like I said, it's one of those things that I think could have been developed a little bit more, but then, like you said, it's like in a lot of these old ass fairy tales, there's just random fucking weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, like all the things you're saying are the things I thought the first time through, and then going through and researching fairy tales, I was like, oh, they're playing out a fairy tale. Like, I don't think that I think there are flaws in the movie, as I said, the narration, etc. But I don't think that most of what you would say are flaws in this are unintentional. I believe they were going for, like, as close as you can get a film to a fairy tale. And most of it works and isn't too distracting. I mean, honestly, I didn't really even think about what's up with that ghoul until you pointed it out. I was just like, yeah, I guess they're ghouls or whatever.
Well, even some of those little distractions like you were talking about, as far as like making this really feel like a dramatic fairy tale, that's one of those things that Kate was able to kind of explain away in terms of some of the what I would think of as flawed dialogue in the movie, because there's some dialogue in the movie that's like,
there's some bad
stupid
stuff, specifically anything the boy says. Everything the witch says is goddamn
really
poetry.
Great. Oh man, she delivers that stuff great.
I think some of the stuff the boy says is bad because of the way he delivers it.
Yeah, he's not great.
A lot of it's like at the end after she's killed the witch and he wakes up and he's like, "You're scared." And it's like, what the fuck? Where did that come
Where'd
from?
that come from, right?
Yeah.
But there's even some bad dialogue delivered there by Gretel too. Like, whenever they go and find that first house where the ghoul guy is, like, they inspect the beds and she's like, "Not exactly an Iron Maiden." And that's one of those lines that sounds stiff as fuck whenever she delivers it. But then at the same time, you could read that in one of these fairy tales and it would just feel kind of right. But it doesn't sound right to say it out loud.
I think, okay, so I'm glad you got there, because that brings me to a much larger point I wanted to make about this whole movie. In fact, the use of the word maiden, though being very forced there, is important there.
Sure, right.
Because that's what she is.
Right, she's the maiden.
She is the maiden in the triple goddess like formation, which is the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Which is a neo-pagan idea that draws from pagan ideas. Neo-pagan doesn't mean somebody came up with it just yesterday. Neo-pagan started in the late 18th century, so
It started
Neo-pagan's
in
been
the
around a
90s
while.
with the craft. Let's be
It
honest.
started in the 90s
in
with
the
the craft.
90s
Yeah.
with the craft.
Yeah. But the maiden, the mother, and the crone is this idea of a woman's life cycle. Women start out as young, innocent, fresh. They become the mother, the nurturer, the one who's responsible, and then they become the crone, this scary visage that reminds us we're all gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
This obviously has that dynamic going on. We have Gretel and then Hulda's two forms. She has the mother form and the crone form.
She has the hot goth girl form.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She is a witchy
You.
woman.
You is what I say. I seriously, when Emily and I were watching it the first time, I was like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
That's a very attractive lady. So anyway, the mother is the young Hulda. She normally, the mother goddess is nurturing and giving and things like that. So it's interesting we only see her as in the scene where she creates the food and stuff. Like, she's still being nurturing even though she's evil.
Right.
Like, but she has to turn into the mother to do it. Like, she can't be the crone and create the food.
I guess so, yeah.
The crone can only consume. The crone is a representation of death's inevitability.
Well, which is the real form of her? Is it the old crone Hulda?
The old crone is something she puts on.
Okay, yeah.
Though it's also like a reflection of who she actually is internally. Like, she is this evil person.
Yeah.
Like, she was just wrapped in this beautiful package before, but she's changed because of that insane story that they tell about the beautiful child, which is so well developed.
Very cool. All those sequences are very neat. And it's
Yeah.
interesting, too, to realize that is a folk tale that exists inside of this folk tale.
Yeah, it's a folk tale being told in a folk tale. Yeah.
Inception.
And the concept of it is that it's I said this word to Emily, and she had I'll have to define it, but that it's preternatural. This story was born into her. Like, she knows the story because she is inseparably connected to the mother and the crone. She never heard the story, she just knows it.
Okay, yeah.
And the witch even says, she said, oh, I love that line. Fuck, what was it? She says we're made of the same stuff, the same trash, basically. Like, that they the two of them have this connection because of some trauma, perhaps. Like, there really is a good bit in here about the things that hold us back, whether they be like mental issues or actual physical things. For Gretel, it is her brother that is holding her back.
Right.
For Hulda, she eats her children to get the power, but her children weren't actually holding her back. Like, she made a pact with a demon. What's really obviously seemingly holding her back is her anger, her resentment, because like she resents Gretel's youth, despite the fact that she obviously takes a liking to her and sees like something in her and starts teaching her like almost immediately. She also despises her youth. She wants that for herself. She can't go back to the time when she was innocent and not just full of anger and hate.
Yeah.
So this, though, like, to characterize the crone that way is not entirely right anymore, and definitely not what they were going for in this movie, because it's been redefined. Like, croning, becoming, like, aging into wisdom is what it's looked at now. Like, Broad City had an episode where Abby started getting gray hairs, and they had that whole like witch element to it, where it's like you're not, like, your life's not over. You're entering this new phase where you can pass down wisdom. So Hulda, while being this evil character, is also, it's almost like she's fighting her evil because she sees something in Gretel, but she expects Gretel to have to take her path.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
power.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, this movie really, it's a girl power movie. It's saying to young women, like, you know, like, yeah, you know, maybe there've been like women in the past who've gotten ahead and they've had to do a lot of terrible things, like, say, sleep with Harvey Weinstein or whatever. But you don't have to do, like, you don't have to live that world.
Yeah.
Like, you can make the world your own.
Well, that's kind of the thing that I got out of the movie, and of course, saying what I got out of the movie is like what I get as a dude watching this movie.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, I'm sure I'm missing a lot of
Right.
things, but like what I felt about it, and maybe I feel confident in this assumption considering it was written and directed by a guy, so
Yeah.
maybe they were getting out of this the same thing that I was getting out of it,
Yeah.
which is, you know, through this story of Gretel, who is just kind of, you know, becoming a woman, going through that transition of becoming an adult.
Yep. She has her first period in this. Like,
Yeah.
she's becoming a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, she kind of encounters the different paths that she could take as a woman. I mean, that old creepy fucking guy that they're trying to sell her off on at the first of the movie
Right.
just wants to use her as breeding stock, essentially.
Right.
Really disgusting. And
Her brother wants her to just shut her mouth and take it. Like,
yeah,
it
exactly.
really, yeah, it displays the patriarchy immediately.
Yeah.
Like that, it's not even hidden that that's
Right.
what they're definitely is wrong. Is that the patriarchy is not listening to women, and further, like
And
that's
then,
how it works.
you know, past that, whenever they start hanging out with the witch and stuff, the witch starts telling her that all maternal instinct is a weakness. Any bonding to, you know, a man or your children or anything like that is weakness.
Right.
And ultimately, what Gretel finds is that the true power is choosing your own path
Right.
and not just bound to either one of those prescriptions for what it means and what you can do as a woman. Again,
Yeah.
maybe that's just fucking stupid as shit. I don't know, but that's
No, I
what
think
I got
that's-
out of it.
That's what it's saying. Like that is the thing we have to recognize about the movie, is that in the end it is written by a dude, directed by a dude. So we probably have the most unique insight into what they were trying to say.
I hope. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
I'm completely
but-
off base. I don't know.
But I think that is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, the
And
true
I
power
think-
is in choosing your own path.
Right, and I think that's a very positive message that
Totally.
and it doesn't get preachy. That's how it works. Like it's not two white men saying this is how a woman should be. It's saying I hope for this for you. I hope you have the opportunity to just choose who you're going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And then let's embrace that. And these are good things. These are the virtues. It's a fairy tale again. This is how things should be. This is how we should be. So I would agree with that message in the end. Like, you know, whether or not a young teenage girl would watch this and get anything out of it, I don't know.
Right.
But I think that's who they're aiming at. Whether or not two white men get to tell a teenage girl
here's
how
what
she
this
should
means, little
feel.
lady.
Yeah, probably
on.
not. Probably not how that works. But
Yeah.
but so there's also a lot of symbolism in here.
Tons. Oh man, dude, this movie is
Yeah.
absolutely covered in it. Sometimes it's like
Yeah.
very overt, and sometimes it's more subtle. Like the second
Oh,
time
yeah.
through, I was watching it, I was noticing how
Did you
many.
see all the triangles?
There's tons. Yes,
Yeah,
there's
they're
pyramids and
everywhere.
triangles all over
Mhm.
the entire movie. Again,
Yep.
sometimes very obviously, sometimes more subtle. Even
Yeah.
like whenever she goes to visit the old perverted guy at the first of the movie, like the stacks of wood meet
Yeah.
kind of at the apex of that roof line, and it forms
Right.
a big pyramid. And
It
then
looks
even
great.
like I noticed whenever she was inside of the house talking to the old nasty guy, like the way that there are two. I can't remember if it's like two lamps or something behind her, but there's two objects
Yeah.
like behind her, and then she's sort of in the mouth
Right.
of the fireplace in the shot. Like it looks like there is a face that's swallowing her up, like a skull face or something.
Yeah. There's there are just so many shots with the triangular geometry. Like even like when the witch goes out and pukes into that hole, and she comes back up and she's the young witch. Like the way they've got the hood on her and stuff is in this triangular shape. Like they keep going back to it, and the reason is one is a reference back to the triple goddess I was talking about. The three of them are connected; they are a triangle. But the triangle in Wiccan practice and in pagan practice tends to be associated. This triangle specifically with fire. A triangle that would be inverted would be representative of water, and then I don't remember, earth and air just have like a line.
Oh, those are like the old alchemy symbols.
Yeah. So this is representative of fire. It's a symbol for truth as a whole. Like,
well, and the triangle has been long associated with other women's things, the pink triangle and stuff like this as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it has a yonic look to it.
Absolutely.
Like it's an indication of a vagina. But it's also, because it's associated with fire, it's also associated with transformation. Fire is always about transformation. Even in the Bible, they talk about a baptism of fire, basically the earth being transformed. So the fire is associated with transformation and change and growth, which is what this movie is about. So the constant show of the triangle is just this reminder, like, this is about change. This is about these three. This is this triple goddess formation.
Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, the thing about the triangle that really has nothing to do with symbolism, but just true, is the triangle's a triangle is like the strongest structure in nature.
Right.
So these three connected, they have this strength with them, which makes me think that because like at the end, she has like, rejected Hulda's like evil, so Hulda's gone, and she's standing there sort of victorious, and then her fingers turn black, and like this is the end of the movie. But if you pay attention, like Sophia Lillis, who's from It, she does so good in this movie with such subtle facial expressions. Like whenever the witch like gives her the broom and she like makes it stand up, like her face goes from like not understanding to slow smile.
Yeah, a lot of good physical stuff.
Yeah, but like at the end, like you see her look at her fingers and she freaks out. It's like she's like, what? Because like she thought, well, I'm not her. I'm different than her.
Yeah.
But she has the same stain now on her hands.
What do you think is up with that too? Like the black fingers of the witch, I thought were very just visually striking and very cool. Kate was pointing out that like back in the day, a lot of women folk that were manufacturing clothes and dyeing garments and stuff like that would end up with stained hands. Yeah, which is pretty neat. But with hers, it's just kind of like it's just black fingers.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's representative of, because her power does still come from that black enchanter that like had those like demon fingernails.
Yeah.
That we never see the face.
Yeah,
which is a character that we never figure out what's going on there. But like, there's still some evil to her power. It's almost like she has to actively work to suppress the evil now. Like now, she has the dirt on her hands that they had on their hands. She is, as Hulda said, she is made of the same garbage. Like they are the same.
Wow.
So she can't escape it, which is why it seems like it's setting up a sequel there at the end, where it's like now we have a thing she has to deal with. Like that's a whole setup for a second story where now she has to deal with her powers and all these other things. Like I could totally see this becoming several movies.
Man. And there's also, in addition to all the triangles and stuff through the movie, there's tons of moons, and of course the moon has been a long held symbol of womanhood. Yeah,
and the maiden, the mother, and the crone, actually the symbol for that is 3 phases of the moon.
Right.
And we get 3 shots of the moon in different phases.
Is it exactly 3, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think so. If I missed one, that's fine. But I'm going to work off of the assumption I didn't miss one.
And it's cool too because not only is it the moon, but it's the moon at the peak of this black triangle. It's like very, very heavily.
It's
symbolic.
very much like, look at this.
Yeah.
And this is involved in all the other stuff that's going on, right?
Yeah.
It shows it in 3 different phases. The interesting thing to me is that from my perspective, the phases don't line up. Like the shadow of the earth, it seems to be moving the wrong way and in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So that adds for me to the fairy tale element of it, where it's just like, what is even going on Earth? Like the moon, have they been there that long that we're seeing 3 just different phases, or does the moon work differently on this planet?
Yeah, all bets are kind of off, right?
Yeah, I kind of love that. I kind of love that feeling of like, yeah, it's a fairy tale. Like shit happens weird.
Oh yeah, but there's also some very overt references to even other stories, and I think in some ways even some pop culture and other horror movies and stuff too.
Oh, there are a ton of references.
There's that scene where she has that dream where she's down in the what I call the dining room, kind of down in the well under the house there. And there's the bodies with the sheets over them, and the blood starts running over the sheet. That's straight out of Hellraiser. Like, that is a scene from the first Hellraiser.
And the boy is standing in the corner, like in Blair Witch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the beautiful child in that one part is doing the same thing.
There are a couple of references to the Wizard of Oz. She calls her My Pretty, and she says, "What a world," right before she dies.
That right there, to me, both of those were just, like, way too obvious. That was...
You think that...
It took me out, man.
Man, you think that we saw Wizard of Oz. Kids aren't seeing Wizard of Oz anymore.
I guess so, yeah.
They're not. They're just not watching it. Like, why? We saw it because it came on TV all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Kids aren't watching TV. They're watching YouTube.
Right. That's
so
true.
if you're making something, and again, that's why I thought this has to be for kids, because like those references are so overt for us, for people who grew up in a time when... Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing Wizard of Oz on Thanksgiving on TNT a lot. Like
TNT.
It was pretty common growing up. Like,
but then to me, it just kind of like shortcuts a lot of the awesome stuff that they give Hulda to say through the movie. Like, so much of her dialogue is so beautiful. And then,
it is. I wrote all of it down, I
think. And then like the
last
line that they give her is, "What a world."
What a world.
Come on, to me, that's pretty cheap.
It might be. Again, though, if you're going to eventually go Avengers are out, it kind of sets up that sort of awesomeness.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of Alice in Wonderland references in here as well, which I thought was kind of an interesting pull because it's not a Germanic fairy tale either.
No, but that is, I mean, that's right in line with the Grimm brothers. But, I mean, those 210... fairy tales they had were not Germanic. So many of them were not from Germany.
Oh, no. And again, that's a pretty overt one where they're walking through the forest, Hansel and Gretel, and they find those like very picturesque little German mushrooms with the red and white caps and stuff. So like they have that scene, which again, this is kind of another gripe in the movie where like she like lays down and like has this little conversation with the mushroom. I thought that was like really corny, but again, that is kind of what would happen in a fairy tale where they have lines like that. They have little scenes like that, and it makes sense. But on screen, I didn't think that it really made any sense. But at the end of that conversation, she's like, "It says, eat me," like straight out of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, straight out of Alice in Wonderland. Yeah. They're definitely paying homage to a lot of things. And, I mean, but we saw that in Black Coat's Daughter with, like, the Shining references and all that stuff.
True.
Like,
yeah.
A
lot of Exorcist references, too.
Yeah, it is pretty much in line with Oz Perkins to make references to older movies. But I think it didn't take me out of it. I didn't even notice the My Pretty thing until the second time through, but the What a World did stand out. But it didn't take me out of it. But I see what you're saying, because it you know, if you've seen Wizard of Oz, then that's like, well, definitely you recognize that connection.
There was a really cool one that Kate pointed out of there too that I didn't really pick up on. Whenever she finds that like the hidden door in the pantry that leads to the dining room, right?
Yep.
It's like this little tiny door that she has to like crawl through, just like Alice crawling through the tiny door. Yep. And then as she walks down the stairs into the dining room, she's just absolutely dwarfed by this gigantic doorway. it's just kind of like all the sense of scale becomes really warped and strange whenever you have her crawling through the tiny thing and then suddenly being, like I said, just a speck inside of this gigantic doorway. Very Alice in Wonderland, very trippy. I hadn't noticed that the first time I watched it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, visually, this movie is just like every awesome music video, kind of like thrown together.
Dude, it looks like every Opeth album cover from the past 10 years as a movie. Like if you've looked at the covers of the last few albums, this movie looks like that, plus like a couple Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin album covers.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
It's
you
dope.
just basically take any still from this and put it on a doom metal album and you'd be good to go.
Yes, exactly. I visually, man, he's just got a great eye.
And
he
I love
really
the design of a lot of the elements and costumes in the movie too. Like even the design of Hulda, I think, is just fascinating. She's got these.
She looks so great.
Oh man, I assume she's wearing contacts because her eyes just seem blacked out, like Wes Borland or something.
I believe the actress has brown eyes. Even I don't remember.
Right on.
When I saw her picture, I was like, "Whoa, she does not look like Hulda."
and she has this face that I think, again, going with the mother maiden crone kind of aspect. I mean, obviously, Gretel is very maidenly and young looking. The mother Hulda is, as we said, just
gorgeous.
absolutely gorgeous, very womanly features and stuff. The crone is almost devoid of anything that looks feminine. She has very thin lips, very thin features. Everything looks very old and stretched. Like, to me, the first time that we watched it, I was like, holy shit, she looks like fucking somebody from an Aphex Twin video.
Right, she looked like she's wearing a fake skin.
Yeah,
and
it's cool.
That's great. Yeah, because that's what she's doing. She puts on this look to look harmless. Mm-hmm. And even in doing that, she still doesn't look as harmless as she thinks. Like she can't like fully perceive harmless.
Yeah.
The way she makes herself look still kind of snake-like. Very like she covers her hair. She's just in completely black gown that just covers her features. All we get is her face, and it's big features. A very prominent face. Yeah.
And that house is just absolutely fucking cool.
Man.
The design of the house is so neat. And I love, too, that even the design of the house is sort of a broken triangle. It's almost like a symbol of a broken woman in some kind of way.
Right, yeah.
And I love how the dimensions of the house don't make any sense. Like, when you get in the house, it's not what it looks like from the outside.
Yeah, very Suspiria-like, where internally it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it is like... one time... she gets up out of her bed, goes to the door of the bedroom, and is at that staircase leading down to that room.
Yeah.
Like,
the dimensions don't really fit or make any sense.
And we're meant to believe when we're watching it the first time these are dreams, but we find out later these are all like reality. These are actually happening. So is she still being manipulated? It feels like it's actually happening because like all the experiences seem to have actual consequences. Like things do, like her brother does leave. Mm-hmm. Right? Like all those things that happen in her dreams seem to actually be happening, which would mean that like the witch, it seems like the house is a projection of the witches. Mm-hmm. Like she has projected this house. She doesn't need to be in a house. She doesn't need to protect herself from nature because she can control nature. She uses this house to lure people in, and once they're inside, they're technically just inside hallucination she's creating, so the rooms can be anywhere.
Well, and also, too, we get this impression that she makes these powerful drafts and potions and stuff that can have crazy effects. I mean, she uses the phrase, a stew of nightmares, if you make that one potion wrong.
Right, yeah.
So who the fuck knows, right?
Right, yeah.
And,
no
and of course,
idea. It could be in the food.
This is a very small cast movie, and as you'd expect, Gretel and Hansel are the main characters, played by... well, actually, they're not necessarily child actors. I guess Gretel is kind of a teenager at this point, and Hansel is still a young boy.
Yeah, they basically... Normally, they're the same age. Normally, they're about 12. And essentially, they just took 4 years from the boy and gave 4 years to the girl to give that like more of a burden element. Like the younger brother is, because he's 8 and can't take care of himself, she is responsible for him.
Yeah, and that also is like the flip of, it's not Hansel and Gretel, it's Gretel and Hansel, because Gretel is the main character.
Right. She's the one who
story.
does she's the wise one, the smart one, the one who makes all the decisions and the one the story is about.
How do you think the kids do?
Sophia Lillis is amazing. She's awesome in everything. She's just great. The narration reading, though, it leaves something to be desired, I would say.
See, that's the thing where I'm kind of torn. I'm like, obviously she knocked it out of the park in It. I mean, she really was one of the best things about It Part 1. Well, and It Part 2, but It Part 2 doesn't really have a lot going for it, so she's definitely one of the best parts of It Part 2. But there's times in there where I'm like, did she not do a good job, or is it just that line kind of sucks? Like,
the lines suck.
Some of the lines suck. Like that part in the movie towards the first, whenever like the ghoul guy is coming towards her, and it's like this very intense, crazy, weird.
Yeah, what does she
scene.
say? She says, "Oh, not this," or
she says, "Oh, but not really."
Oh, but not really.
Like almost like, "Oh, it's this now." Like it's just kind of like, really, was that the line?
Right.
But again, I don't think anybody could have delivered that line better, so I'm not going to put the fault on her.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I think the little boy, Sam Leakey, he's just a little boy who's not excellent at acting, and then the lines they gave him to say aren't great. But again, because we see the witch's lines, we see the hunter, they speak perfectly well. It seems almost like deliberate, where the children speak like children speak in fairy tales, which is an adult's approximation of what a child might say.
Yeah, very stilted and like overly dumbed down at times.
Yeah.
It's just such a contrast when you compare like his performance to like, let's say the young boy in the movie The Witch.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit, man.
That kid was awesome.
Oh my god, unreal.
So yeah, there's a good bit of difference there. But yeah, I think Alice Krige, who plays Hulda, is amazing. She was the Borg queen in Star Trek First Contact.
Oh,
in
yeah?
case anybody's wondering where you know her from.
I was wondering if I'd ever seen her in anything else other than this.
Oh yeah, she was in one of her more famous roles is in Barfly. If you've ever seen Barfly.
No, I've never seen that.
She's also in Thor: The Dark World. She played the Doctor in or not Valhalla, but what's the name of the city they live in? Fuck, I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, she's been around for a long time, and she does so good in this.
I'll tell you
just
what,
such a great job.
I'll just go ahead and throw my hat in here. If they ever do a Pumpkinhead remake, she's got to be the old crone out there in the swamp. Has to be.
Absolutely. I don't know why they would do a remake of Pumpkinhead.
I'm not sure.
They do.
She's got the
Somebody
job.
out there's got to be working on it.
I think she does a just stunning job. I mean, like I said, there's moments where Gretel's acting kind of leaves me a little bit stranded, but I think it's really just the lines. And again, Hansel has some pretty questionable moments where he's just not very good, man.
No, he's there's a lot of problems there with that. But
the huntsman is great, but he just he's not really in this movie very much. He's like, sir,
no,
not
he's
appearing
not.
in this film.
Here I am. I can shoot an arrow. See ya.
See you later. What do you think about the soundtrack of this flick?
Yeah, it didn't stick out to me at all until you mentioned it.
It kind of stuck out to me.
Did it? There's so many moments with just no soundtrack at all.
Yeah, which is fine by me.
Yeah.
And then when there is soundtrack, it feels like it is ripped out of an 80s fantasy movie, like Legend or Labyrinth or something like that.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
It's like very synthesizer based,
Yeah.
very which I mean I love, but I don't know. Again, maybe they did that very intentionally just to make this movie feel more out of time and out of place.
I would imagine.
But to me, it kind of felt out of time and out of place at certain points. Not in a good way. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I think just overall with this movie, I wish that it would have committed a little bit more to like, okay, is this Germanic folktale or is this just completely wackadoo nuts? It's everything all at once, like with steam-powered crossbows and fucking all kinds of weird stuff, you know? I kind of wish that it would have committed more one way or the other.
I I like that it didn't. I prefer that it didn't. In fact, I think
I
they're
get that.
trying to invent a new type, maybe, of adaptation that is more faithful to the genre it's adapting. Because we've seen that happen with like novels and stuff. We've, you've even seen movies like that Will Ferrell movie, Stranger Than Fiction, where a novel is being written, and that's the movie. Like,
yeah, so cool.
yeah, we've seen those sort of adaptations. So to like, they're walking a really fine line. You're right. I mean, and so like some of it's not gonna work. It's always gonna be they're going out on a limb.
Sure.
And some of the limbs are a lot stronger, and some are a bit flimsier. And maybe the use of synth when nothing else seems to fit that mold is a little out. But again, maybe they're trying to pay homage to those movies of the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I understand why people like it, but at the same time, if you don't, like me.
Yeah, I understand. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
You know?
like this is, everything is going out on a limb. If you don't like it, it's like, well, yeah, like that was gonna be a precarious thing no matter what. And this movie's just full of them.
Yeah.
Like everything is sort of going out on a limb, which I like about it, and also understand why somebody wouldn't like about it. So I get the negative reviews.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I just overall get it if somebody loves it or hates it, either way, you know?
Take it or leave it. That
One
makes
thing in
sense.
this, too, that I was going to point out while we were on the subject of Hansel there, is that even though this movie is very much centered on Gretel and the journey of womanhood and stuff, I think that there's also a little bit of message about boys and men and their roles and stuff, I think, in society.
There is.
If you'll notice, like, Hansel, the whole movie, pretty much all that he ever does is talk about consuming meat, becoming strong, chopping down trees.
Yep.
It's like the entire nature of masculinity in this movie is destruction in a lot of ways.
Right. And she has to be willing to let him go his own way and recognize that way may be toxic, because when he does go, he goes back to his home where his family is dead. I assume his mom died.
Yeah, the mom's not there
as well. And takes the axe that his mother slammed into the table to make her kids leave so she wouldn't chop them up and eat them. Takes that axe, and basically the assumption is he's taking up that mantle. He's taking up this axe. He's basically taking up this fight of I'm going to keep up the patriarchal order. And yeah, so
it could be, or I mean, you could also just say that he is there to balance the way that his sister has become so in tune with the earth and a caretaker of nature and stuff like that. It's like maybe the key is the balance there, you know?
Maybe that is what. Yeah, maybe that's what it's getting at. I mean, that's what I was thinking at the end. There's just such a setup for maybe even a clash between the two of them in the future. Like he really embraces this very
destructive nature,
and she has to fight him back or something. I mean, that would be again, like, this doesn't seem like the type of movie where you look at it and go, that's gonna get a bunch of sequels. But when I see it, all I can see are sequel opportunities for this, and I really hope they do it.
What do you think about the pacing of the movie? Do you think that it moved at a good clip, or do you think it felt like it drug a little bit?
Hour 27, like, they get to the witch's cabin like 20 minutes in. So all of the stuff that happens before her going to the brothel, her mom kicking them out, them eating the mushrooms and all that stuff, that all happens pretty fast and gets them to the point of adventure really quickly. So since then the action predominantly takes place in a house.
Right.
I could see if somebody says that feels like it's dragging.
That's how I felt. I was kind of like the world building stopped once they got there.
But to me, it never felt too slow. It doesn't. I would say, though, at the end, it does feel longer than an hour 27. I think so much is introduced and so much happens in the time that it feels a bit longer.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I don't feel like there was ever like a true escalation of like, oh my god, they've got to get the fuck out of there. Like this is getting bad. They got a jet. Like I didn't feel a lot of like tension buildup kind of thing. But then again, it's like I could also say the same thing about a lot of my favorite movies. So I don't know if that's really a valid complaint.
I think the tension builds slightly between Hulda and Gretel, but never much because the end point isn't that she hates Hulda. She doesn't want Hulda dead. She doesn't want her brother dead, so she kills Hulda.
Yeah, well, and she also doesn't want Hulda dictating the way that she lives her life.
Right. So, but again, like you're right. Like the tension is really is never building overly much, but it's always there. I mean, you do have to remember that we do find out that they're eating children with about 15 minutes left to go in the movie.
Yeah.
Like that was a slow reveal.
Yeah.
Like that.
And very disturbing.
And very disturbing. Yeah. A whole bunch of kid body parts poured out onto a table was not what I expected from this movie, though it's right in line with Grimm fairy tales for sure.
Exactly. Very much. Yeah. Overall, I wish that there would have been a little bit more escalation, maybe some more external threats, or maybe even something where some of the characters that we met earlier in the movie come back in some way or something. But I just kind of felt like there was a little bit of a loss of momentum, considering that you spend, probably like 4/5 of the movie in the same location. Sometimes that can work great for me if the tension is building up, like The Shining or something like that, obviously.
Right.
But in this, to me, it was just kind of like, we're building this cool world. Let's stop here. So I wish it could have expanded
this
on that.
This is world
one
of a video game, you're saying?
I think so.
It's like, here's how you use your magic. Press A.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a pretty neat flick. But, again, it's like I'm watching this as like a dude, so I'm not even really sure that this movie was like meant to blow my mind. Like Kate fucking loved it. She was like, this is like a 9.5 for me. She liked it better than... way better than Blackcoat's Daughter. She said she even likes it better than The Witch. So apparently there's elements in here that are just not hitting me the way that I think would a woman watching this movie.
I mean, I would say I highly regard this film. I don't think it's better than Blackcoat's Daughter or The Witch, but I think it's for me it's up there. Like this is the type of movie I can see myself rewatching a number of times because it's light enough that it's not ever depressing to watch.
It's not a hard watch. No, it's not like Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, and it's visually gorgeous. So, like, it's the type of thing you could just have on in the back. Like, if you had this on at a Halloween party and nobody heard a word said, they still wouldn't mind that it was on.
It fit the mood just right. Yeah, this is one of those ones that, like, if I watch it again, that was my second time watching it for the show here. If I watch it again, it will be more to relive the visuals.
Yeah.
Or maybe see some of the other symbolism and stuff that we were talking about than it will be to like relive that story again. Like there's movies that I watch over and over because I'm like, I want to relive that story. I want to go back to that place. But this is one of those ones that, like I said, I'll probably rewatch for visual appeal and inspiration more than anything, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it makes total sense.
What kind of number would you stick on this thing?
For me, this is like an 8.5. Like,
wow.
I really love this movie. I had so much fun. Like, all the things, I don't know if anyone's gotten it throughout the episode, but all of the negatives I see is probably positives. Like, they are, it's a really interesting exercise in artistic horror, is what I would say. That also serves as a movie teenagers could watch and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a weird line.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's one of those things that I wish that I could talk to Oz Perkins myself about this and the writer as well and be like, are the things that I'm perceiving as flaws intentional? Is the fact that some of the dialogue... Because that
would change it, right?
Yeah, right? Because, like, if the fact that some of the dialogue is really weak and cheesy, well, that's because that's how it was in those books. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the fact that nobody has any sort of consistent, discernible accent that works with the other characters? Is that to make it more, this could be anywhere, this
out
could be
of
any
time,
place?
out of place, yeah.
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
the fact that like Hansel
yeah.
and Gretel both have like hats that look like they were made in the 1920s?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, it's like maybe these are all things that they really did on purpose. Be like, yeah, we wanted it to make it very timeless
Yeah.
and sort of confusing. I'd be like, oh, well, in that case, you nailed it.
I sort of thought the hat that Gretel wears might be a reference to what was the name of the reporter in Harry Potter?
Oh, yeah, she got like a jaunty hat.
Yeah, it's a similar hat, it seemed to me. Or even like the hats the Beauxbatons girls wear when they come in.
Yeah,
in
it looks
4.
exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was what they were going for. But then I do think that's actually a Wizard of Oz reference too. I'm pretty sure that the Munchkins are wearing some hat like that.
Sounds right.
So it
Unless
might
it's
be a
the-
reference
yeah.
back to Wizard of Oz. Not positive.
It might
Anyway,
be.
yeah.
You might be right, man. Yeah, so like there's
Yeah, I
things
would
in this
love to have that conversation for
right.
sure.
Yeah. I wish I could just figure out if what I'm perceiving as flaws are intentional parts of this, you know?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because like I'm going out on a limb myself and saying, yeah, I think they are. I think they're intentional, and I think because of that, it's a really good movie.
Well, I'll even say, you know, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt that they were doing all those things intentionally, and I'll still say I wish they would have leaned into it harder.
Okay.
If you're going to commit, really, really commit to it, you know? But again, maybe that was out of their hands, and maybe there was stuff
No,
that got edited
maybe.
out of the movie. I just don't know.
It's possible. I mean, with an hour 27 movie, it does seem likely that.
Surely stuff got cut.
Yeah, surely.
Without a doubt, man. So I think just watching it on face value in terms of how much I enjoyed this movie, I think I'm definitely lower than what you're saying. I think I probably got to say like 6.5.
Yeah, that's
You know,
fair.
above average. One that I would rewatch, but not one I'm like chomping at the bit to see again.
Yeah.
You know? But again,
I would definitely-
it's like that's just the audience here talking. Clearly to other people, like my wife, it's fucking, you know, near flawless. So
I would definitely say the PG-13 rating is perfect for it.
yeah.
Like, it really, truly, if you're listening and you got a teenager that you want to like horror movies, this is one that they will probably remember the rest of their life.
Yeah, it's not super
As, like-
jump scary or
Right, yeah.
too
It's not going to
gruesome.
keep them up at night, but it's also going to stick with them.
I think so. Yeah, so it might be perfect for that audience right there, huh?
Yeah.
But for an old grizzled piece of shit man like myself, I'm gonna toss it a 6.5.
That's fair and a good score, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'll let you podcast people know too. If you want a little bit of a second opinion about this thing and find out what some other folks felt about this flick, check out our friends over at Say You Love Satan on their podcast. They usually do like just 80s horror movies and stuff like that, but during this crazy time of quarantine and lockdown, they're not recording in person. They're doing all their stuff over Discord, so they're doing just kind of a little bit more loose fit, laid back kind of show over there, where they're doing some modern movies and stuff too until they can get back to their 80s grind. And they're doing this movie on their show sometime around the time that this episode comes out. So if you want a second opinion, be sure to go over and check them out and tell them Uncle Ben and Hollywood Steve sent you.
Yeah. As you're listening to the podcast, be like, Uncle Ben and Hollywood Steve sent us.
Yeah,
They'll hear it.
you should say it.
Yeah.
You should say it. Well, Steve, I'm really excited to check out the movie that we're doing on next week's episode because I've been hearing so much hype about it. Some of the people on our Facebook group, which I can find over at...
Facebook.com/Dead and Lovely.
That's right. Join the chat. It's where all the cool kids hang out and do cool kids
It is.
stuff.
It's true.
But yeah, over there I've seen a lot of people talking about how much they like this flick, and there's a lot of critical hype for it too. So I'm excited to check it out. I watched the trailer for this, and it seems like it's going to be right up my alley with its themes of isolation and crazy fucked up families, and it looks like there's like some religious fervor in there too.
Yeah, we were intentionally avoiding like isolation movies, though
true.
we accidentally ended up doing a couple.
A bunch of them.
And now it's like, well, I remember the cool days when it was just isolation.
Yeah, really, right?
So
Remember when
let's
that
talk
was the
about
biggest
isolation
concern?
again.
We're going to be checking out The Lodge,
Yeah,
which
And
came
let me
out
tell you,
what,
Ben-
like last year or this year?
Yeah,
I can't
last year.
remember. Okay.
came out last year. I've already watched it. I don't want to reveal too much.
Okay.
It's horror movie vomit.
Oh man, are we getting Veronica again? Do you think?
No, it's better than that and worse
That's
than that.
good. Oh.
But better. But I don't know. Really?
Well, I
It's
hope I
something-
like it.
Dude, it's gonna be a good episode no matter what, because there's so much to talk about. And hopefully you do like it, so you can maybe convince me it's good.
There we go. Well, we'll find out about it next week, man. I'm excited to check it out. Again, maybe it's bad, maybe it's good. I don't know. But either way, it'll be a joy to hang out here on Dead and Lovely and talk about it. If you guys enjoy the show and want to help us out, be sure to go on Apple Podcasts, rate and review. It just takes you a second, but it makes a huge difference for us in showing up in those search engines and stuff like that. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to go on there, rate and review on iTunes. They can also follow us on social media.
At Dead Lovely Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Head on over there. We're always posting this and that and the other thing. It's fun times.
Good times. And again, support us on Patreon if you care.
Yeah,
Show some support.
patreon.com/Dead and Lovely. Maybe you heard of it.
Maybe you done heard of us.
Maybe we talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, maybe that, right? Well, you guys be sure to check it out and tune in to the show next week when we'll be talking about The Lodge. Everybody, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands.
And your ass.
You guys have been fantastic. We've been Uncle Ben.
Hollywood Steve.
Well, we've been Dad and Lovely. We'll catch y'all next time.
Bye. All right, are you ready?
Yep.
Click, click, boom.
It's officially the douchiest way we can use to get the recording
100%.
synchronized. No one can know of this.
Nope.
It's like I listened to the end of the episode and it sounded like they synced up with click, click, boom. Like instead of 1,
Not
2,
sure.
3. That's actually
It sounded like Ben was wearing a backwards cap with a flat brim.
I could
I don't know
hear
why.
the affliction shirt in his tone of voice.
Yeah.